Alright guys, in today's video we are going to work with some pesky punctuation. Our main goal is to learn the difference of when to use a comma, a semicolon, and a colon properly. So this video is just going to focus on commas. In order to understand commas, we first need to understand the compound sentence. A compound sentence is a sentence that contains two simple sentences or independent clauses, and sometimes those sentences can be combined together to eliminate choppiness. So if you look at the sample sentences in the middle of this slide, you'll see first it says, Batman is a hero. You're going to notice that there's a subject and a verb in that sentence. So we have our subject is Batman. Our verb is. We call that a linking verb. And then we have a complete thought, hero, which lets us know what Batman is. So that's a complete sentence by itself. The second sentence that follows it is also a complete sentence. He is successful in catching the criminals in his city. We have the subject he and the verb is, and then successful completes the thought. The rest of this sentence is actually just extra information letting us know how he's successful, but that continues to complete the thought. The main point here is that we have two sentences, and right now they are separated. But if we wanted to combine those, what we need to do is use a comma and a conjunction. A conjunction is just a fancy name for a linking word, and sometimes you might hear them referred to as fanboys. So on these next few slides, we're going to see how we use those properly. As I mentioned, sometimes these coordinating conjunctions are also called fanboys or linking words. The reason they're called fanboys is they spell out the word fanboys with the first letter of each word. That's an acronym. So we have for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. All of those words can link two sentences together with a comma. You'll notice on this slide some other types of linking verbs. We call those conjunctive adverbs, or sometimes we just use a semicolon, which is a different type of punctuation. We're going to come back to those in a different video, so don't worry about those just yet. Let's move on to some more information about these fanboys and commas. When you're trying to link two sentences together, you have to ask yourself, how do they relate to each other? So here I am looking at this first sentence. The black dog doesn't know many tricks. He hasn't won many prizes. I need to ask myself, well, is that just something in addition to the thing before it? In which case, I would use and. So we see that there in the next sentence. The black dog doesn't know many tricks, and he hasn't won many prizes. It works, but it doesn't quite show the relationship I need, because I know that because he doesn't know many tricks, he hasn't won many prizes. So we have a cause-effect relationship here. And since we have a cause-effect relationship, the word so is going to fit a lot better. The black dog doesn't know many tricks, so he hasn't won many prizes. Once you've chosen your linking word, then you can connect your two sentences together. Here on this slide, you're going to see a practice exercise asking you to choose the correct linking word that would go within the blanks to connect the two sentences together. So at this time, I want you to pause the video, take a look at the slide, and decide which one would go in each sentence. And when you're done, I'm going to show you the answers so that you can check them. But pause the video now and try it out. Okay, here's your key. So in number 1, we're going to see that she saw a cat run in front of her, so she fell down while roller skating. That's a cause-effect relationship. In number 2, there was a meteor shower, but the crew did not know how to avoid the meteors. They didn't avoid them because of the meteor shower. It was just there was a meteor shower. They didn't know how to deal with it. Those two things contrast each other. So whenever there's a contrast, we use but. In number 3, Gillian did not like to read. Therefore, he was not very good at it. We get the idea that because he doesn't like to read, he doesn't read a whole lot, so he's not very good at it. Meanwhile, just wouldn't make sense there. In number 4, Pam liked Wayne. Likewise, Lena adored Wayne. We're just showing somebody else that also likes him, so we use likewise to show that it's in addition to. And then in number 5, the little boy did not like going to school, yet he went anyway. Again, those are contrasting, so we use but and yet in very similar ways. Okay, so now we're at the main rule. The main rule here is to use a comma before you use any of those fanboys or coordinating conjunctions. So if I have for, and, nor, but, or, yet, or so, linking my two sentences, I need to have a comma there to show that the thought has not ended and I'm continuing on to the next part of my sentence. So here in example 1, I went to the hospital and I drove home. I use the comma before and then move on to my second sentence. You'll notice the subject and verb are labeled in each of these sample sentences to show you that these are two complete thoughts connected together. So in the sentence number 2, I go shopping. That's my subject and my verb. Yet I am miserable every time. And I apologize, it looks like they didn't line up properly when this uploaded into the video, so I definitely wanted to point that out to you so that you could see that that wasn't quite placed right, but they are labeled there for you. Main thing is comma comes before the conjunction, so that's the main rule we want to learn. Okay, here's your last practice for this video. You'll notice there are 4 sentences here. They are compound sentences, but they are missing punctuation. We have to add the commas where they belong. So what we have to do is find the fanboys and then place the comma before it. So again, pause your video, ask yourself where you would place it in each one, and then you can check your answers afterward with my key. Okay, here are the answers. So in number 1, I'm going to put a comma right before the word but. Joe waited for the train. That's sentence 1. Sentence 2 is the train was late. So I've got my connecting word in the middle and the comma comes before it. In number 2, I looked for Mary and Samantha at the bus station, comma, but they arrived at the station before noon and left on the bus before I arrived. Notice I have a fanboy here, but I don't have a complete thought after it. That's a fragment. So I would not use a comma before that and. I would leave that alone. All right, then in number 3, Mary and Samantha arrived at the bus station before noon and they left on the bus station before I arrived. So comma would go before the and then lastly, Mary and Samantha left on the bus before I arrived, comma, so I did not see them at the bus station. So in each of these, we need commas right before the conjunction. And that's it.